Welcome to Sometimes There's Side Eye, a podcast about two friends having real and unfiltered conversations about dogs and people. Listen as we talk about our lives with dogs, training, behavior, share some laughs, and a whole lot of banter. I'm Heather.
And I'm Christy. What are we talking about this week, Heather?
This week we have a special guest, and I'm so excited. We
Yes.
are talking with Katherine Burbach, and we were sitting here thinking, how many years have we known Katherine? At least 7. So we are thrilled to have you here, Katherine. Welcome to the show.
Great to be here. Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. And we're going to be talking to Katherine about how a relationship can change with a dog throughout the years, like the live and learn part of it. So I
Mhm.
love that we're going to have you here to discuss relationship changes.
Yes. And so we always like to get started with the question when we have guests on, what dog do you live with? And what is your favorite thing about them?
I live with my dog Dose, so Dose like two in Spanish. And my favorite thing about him is his standing on a treadmill and barking when he wants to go on a walk.
I
Could
love
you
that,
be any clearer, Dose?
right? Dose has it dialed in on communication.
He does, and I'm sure we'll get into it, but I've certainly learned how to listen to him better over the years as well.
That is so incredible. I remember the first time you ever told me that he was doing that. I'm like, I'm sorry, but that is brilliant.
It took me a minute to figure out what he wanted at first, but once I figured it out, I was like, oh, I walk on it. Now that makes sense. He's going to stand
Yeah,
on it when he wants to go.
that's
Gosh,
amazing.
dogs are so smart. Oh my gosh.
And how old is Dose?
So Dose is approximately 11.
11, and he's a pit bull,
Yes,
right?
he
Pit bull
is.
mix. Okay. Yeah.
We're definitely going to share pictures and videos of Dose because he's the most adorable
Oh my
little guy you've ever seen.
He's so cute.
So, what is Dose's adoption story? Tell us how he came to bring so much joy to your life.
So I happened to see a photo of a gray pit bull type dog with cropped ears on Instagram one day when I was scrolling, and I said, that looks like my dog.
You
So
had an aha moment.
I went off of a picture and went down to the Humane Society here and met him, and he was fresh out of surgery and kind of timid, but with some treats, he opened up and I said, This is it. This is my dog." So took him home that night, and here we are many, many years later.
Do you know what year that was? So, you said he's approximately 11. You've had him most of his life.
I saved his adoption picture from the Humane Society because
Aww.
it was cute. He was named Mortimer, which is
Mortimer.
Mortimer. And now that, like, obviously I've had him over the years, it's the perfect old man name for him and the dog he is today, too. His alter
Aww.
ego.
That's so cute. Oh
So
my
cute.
gosh. Little Mortimer Dose.
I think he was about 2, so I think it was 9 years in March that he's
Yeah,
been with me.
that's amazing. Aside from the adorable photo and your aha moment, was there anything else that really stuck out to you of why you chose Dose? Were you looking for a pit bull type dog?
I was. So I had previously had another pit bull type dog, and it's something for me that I just felt like, especially back then, they're so misrepresented and misunderstood at times. And so an opportunity to be a good example for the breed was really important to me. And I
Mm.
knew that I could take this kind of shy, timid dog and, really develop that relationship. So I'm so grateful for what we have today and kind of how it's developed.
Love that. And I know that everything hasn't been rainbows and sunshine along the way. Can you tell us some of the struggles you had with Dose in your early years together?
Yeah, I think I've certainly learned a lot about dog behavior over the years. I'm grateful to the two of you for your guidance and help in many conversations we've had. But some of the struggles early on is Dose is definitely leash reactive. Not in an aggressive way, but he wants to meet everything and everybody. And so we've certainly had to figure out how, when living in an apartment, how to manage that behavior because, from an appearance perspective, he does fit that stereotype with his cropped ears and short, stocky stature that some people find scary. And
Mm.
so we certainly struggled at kind of toning that down and figuring out a way to almost manage that behavior.
Yeah.
in a way that supports him and makes him feel safe and comfortable, is easy for me as a handler, and also makes others feel comfortable because I don't ever want others to feel like they're pressured or uncomfortable around my dog. That's something that's so important to me.
And when we're living in an apartment, did you have to do elevators and all of that, or were you on ground floor? But regardless, you're always passing a ton of people with dogs because if you're in an apartment and have a dog, likely people choose that apartment because they have a dog. So kind of what was it like that you had to navigate?
So we were going up and down stairs, and
Oh,
usually there's one communal like dog area or dog park. And so it was important to understand timing, space. Space is a big way that we learned to kind of navigate through his reactivity over the years, and that it's okay to turn around and go somewhere else, and that there are alternatives to, fenced in dog parks that he can sniff along a set of bushes and be just as happy as he is in kind of that designated fenced in area.
mm-hmm. Yep.
And I love what you said, that it was very brief, but it was important, that you needed to find ways to navigate his reactivity that were easy for you, that worked for you. And I think that gets overlooked a lot. There's these protocols that are like 15 pages long that your normal human being just can't follow. So what were some things that this isn't on the list? And if you've ever
Here
listened
she
to an
goes
interview with us, here we
every
go.
single
Every
time.
time. But were there some things that you found that worked for you, that were easy?
I think the easiest thing that I found is treats. And it seems so simple, but for so many years, I didn't carry treats on my walk. I walked out of the door with him on a leash and a couple of poop bags, and off we went.
Yeah, because
And
you're going to do potty, right? So what do we need to do a potty? We need the dog, we need our shoes, and we need the poop bags.
and literally a bag of high value treats that are really stinky has been the easiest way when he's reactive. If we need to do a 180, if I just want him to, do a scatter feed and toss a couple treats and let him sniff while someone walks past. It's so
Mm.
simple, right? It's the tool that I had at my house. And honestly, it cost me nothing additional other than remembering to grab a bag of treats. And it has been the simplest kind of change that we've made. And to this day, right? So 9 years later, I still carry treats. And while we
Yeah.
now have the ability to walk past dogs and people, and that reactivity has certainly kind of been better managed over the years, it's a tool I keep with me because it's easy. If something does, if I start to see him get a little anxious or showing signs of reactivity, it's easy to redirect him. And again, just a bag of treats. That's all it is.
Well,
Yeah.
and at this point, you guys are a well-oiled machine. You've practiced the behavior so much, you know? And thankfully with Dose, he's so food motivated that
Mhm.
it is such a simple solution, you know? And I love that. I kind of remember the time period when this aha moment happened and being like, oh my gosh, like all I have to do is carry treats. But it doing scatter feeds and things like that, that is something that has been newer to the general dog public world. I mean, I'm sure there were brilliant people who have been doing it for 3 decades or whatever, but it wasn't getting publicized as an option. And I
Mhm.
think the understanding of what dogs sniffing means to them is also something that is newer, and that we've all sort of had this moment where we're like, oh, wow, this is a really powerful tool and a very easy tool to use to make our dogs feel more comfortable.
And I think you bring up a great point of one of the things that's changed over the years is every walk we used to go on was a structured walk where, it
Mhm.
was heel by my side, stay directly next to me. And I think one of the biggest things I've learned from you guys is kind of the safaris, go out there,
Mm-hmm.
and these walks aren't for me. It's not for me to get my steps in or my workout in. It's really for Dose to do what he wants. And
Mm-hmm.
there are days we go to the bush right outside the house and we'll stand there for 30 minutes because I like to think of it as like a Twitter series. Maybe something's really good there and he's reading a multi-part adventure on Twitter. And some days he wants
I
to
love that.
roll past and we're going around the block. But kind of changing that perspective on walks. And, as long as he's not eating a grape that a child left on the ground, he can sniff, he can explore and do what he wants on his walk because it is his time.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Did you extend, and this could be difficult for somebody who has had a leash reactive dog, right? Did you end up giving Dose more leash? Which I know it sounds counter to what you want to do.
I did. There's certainly times, right? I do live in a neighborhood where there are kids and people and dogs, but in safe environments, we've got a 20-foot leash. And I think through managing the reactivity over the years too, it's built confidence that he is able to come back with, his recall command for treats. He will do pretty much anything for string cheese and French fries. So it's easy to allow him that freedom and flexibility, knowing that if I need him to come to me, he will.
Yeah.
I think it's built his confidence as well in exploring and knowing that he just gets to be a dog, but it's still in a way that I can control the environment.
Yeah. Do you feel more relaxed on your walks at this point?
It is crazy how calm I've become in knowing that, again, it's a treat, but it will 100% change behavior. And I
Mhm.
think it also instills confidence in the other people walking their dogs, as well as walking past, in knowing that Dose will come sit by me or lay down as, they walk their dog on the other side of the street. And in turn, I think it helps others manage their dogs. That's been the biggest thing, is seeing other people who might have a reactive dog, but being able to kind of control my own dog helps their dog more effectively navigate the situation as well. And so that's been kind of a big thing that I'm so proud of, is kind of flipping that script from being the one who was really heavily working on reactivity to having a calm dog, which I can help others, whether that's doing a U-turn or laying there calmly while they work with their dog.
You're changing your entire environment, like everyone around you's environment, because you're confident in what you're doing, and that's powerful. That kind of hits me, That really hits
Yeah.
me.
And I will say
Yeah.
thank you to both of you, because I do know how much we've talked about it. And Heather, I know we've been out there with Tiago, who's very kind of calm and steady. And that was certainly helpful to have Dose around what I call kind of bomb-proof dogs, whose behavior can help shape and model, and give me an opportunity to work on things with Dose.
Yeah, it was nice to kind of see, so that I could see what you see. And then I could give you my feedback and be like, listen, here's what I think. And because you can talk over and over again, but actually seeing animal behavior is a completely different thing.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And just a caveat, we're not saying if you have a reactive dog to go and take it on a walk with just
No.
everyday dogs. Like
No.
Jackson and Dose would not probably be a good combo as she's working through reactivity, because
No.
they're going to just amp each other up. So, but if you have somebody who understands dog behavior and has what we call a bomb-proof dog kind of, then yeah, that can be so helpful.
Just so all the listeners know, Katherine is a massive Bulldog fan. And
Oh, yes.
although she would have chosen Bulldog to go on the walk with Dose, that was
Yes.
not the right choice for what we were trying to accomplish. So I agree. It has to be the right dog, and well, the right two dogs, honestly. And it has to be people who really truly understand what's happening if you're trying to make some assessments about dog behavior. Yeah.
Absolutely. And as much as I love Bulldog, it was not the right fit. And that's okay.
Yep.
Not every dog is the right fit.
It absolutely is okay.
He's the right fit for cuddling.
I mean, that's true. With all of this talking about dog behavior, we're talking about these terms, that we've used before. Reactivity, we didn't say it, but big feelings also, same thing. So, what has been the shift in your relationship with Dose? So, relationship, in the older years, I should say, younger years, and then relationship now. How has that kind of changed with your understanding of him, and then also your relaxation ability when you're out and about with him?
I think the biggest thing is just the trust. And I think in the younger years, it was, yes, this is my dog. I love him dearly. I would do anything for him. But it wasn't kind of as close because we didn't have that level of communication that we do today. And so I
Yes.
think through kind of working through reactivity, through even just training fun tricks that aren't always practical in real life, but build that relationship and spending that time together has really kind of changed how we interact today. So before it would have been a frustrated go lay down. And today I'm like, okay, he's barking at me. What does he want? And it may be something as simple as he's barking at me because he wants his bed in the sun. But it's that level of he's going to communicate what he needs and I can listen. And if I tell him, hey, we're all done, he'll go lay down and calm down. Sometimes he's a little spicy and that's okay. He's a little grumpy
We
old
love
man.
spicy Dose.
We do, but I think it's really kind of changed from dog owner to a much more kind of close bonded relationship because we now have that level of trust and communication that it takes time. But I know when he's maybe eating his bed, he's looking for something that I'm not giving him in that moment. And I've been able to kind of remove my frustration and look at it from what is he trying to tell me? Something's missing. I'm missing something that he needs that I'm not giving him in this particular moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because Dose has had, I would say, not to put him in a little category, but he has had some separation
Yes.
type issues over the years, and you have been able to figure his go-to is barking at you. If there's a problem, he's like, "Excuse me, ma'am." So you've learned that that's not him just barking at you to hear his own voice. He's barking at you to tell you something, and we don't speak the same language. So you've kind of been able to navigate through all of that by understanding, oh, he actually does need something.
And that's an interesting perspective because he doesn't bark at the door. So when to your point, when he is barking, that is him telling me whether it's he needs to go outside. It could be he wants a treat, which, he's trained me in a way and I've obviously encouraged the behavior. But
He's 11. He gets all the treats.
Yeah.
he does. Don't walk into the kitchen and open the fridge or you owe him a blueberry. Those are the
I
rules.
love it.
I don't make
100%.
them.
Oh, that's awesome.
How have you changed as a dog owner, do you think?
I think the biggest thing is understanding that it's a journey and a
Mm.
process, and to really enjoy that process, right? Every dog is different, but this is about understanding my dog. And this is kind of in my adult life, right? That opportunity to build that relationship. And I say, the soul dog you had in your 20s, that's Dose for me. So I think
Mhm.
I've kind of changed to appreciating every moment and the sassy moments too, right? And not to be sad, but right, that journey will come to an end at some point.
Yeah.
And so I want to appreciate all of the little things, the behavior quirks that he has as a dog, because that's what makes him so special. And I think
Mhm.
in my younger years, I would have seen some of the barking, the chewing at his bed as bad behavior. He's a bad dog. And now I see it as, okay, he's funny, he's sassy. What is he trying to tell me? And that's a big perspective shift from,
Yeah.
it's not bad behavior, it's communication, it's him showing his personality. And I don't
Mhm.
want to stifle that. I didn't want a robot of a dog. And there's times and places, right, where you want perfect behavior. But in the house, I want him to feel comfortable and safe to be himself. And if
Mhm.
that's destroying a cardboard box, then so be it, right? And embracing everything that makes him special.
Mm.
And I think when you have a perspective shift like that, like you talked about, where it's no longer him being a bad dog, it's him communicating or him being spicy, just that slight shift of the mindset, it creates more patience
Yes.
for those things, and it allows them to be who they are, full of spice or or full of honey, whatever the day chooses.
Because it's so important. It really is so important because they can't just talk to us. And so that shift, that's life changing. And that doesn't just change Dose's life, your life, it changes the people around you because now anybody who's coming to your home and meeting him and meeting you and seeing your relationship together, people out on your walks, people feel that. people feel that connection, you know? And I also think when you can share with people, well, you know what? In the beginning, it wasn't like this. And these are the struggles because we're all struggling. We're all having hard times. And so when they hear, oh, we started out here and now we are here, that's really, really powerful.
I think it's a journey, right? It's an ever evolving journey and learning. And at any point, right, the environment does influence both of us. And so
Mm-hmm.
being willing to adapt, try new things, not everything works,
Mm-hmm.
but to find what does work for you and your dog, that has been, I think, important is knowing, right? There's nothing wrong with trying something different.
Mm-hmm.
And at times it may not work out, right? We certainly still have our moments where Dose is going to bark at somebody because
Mm-hmm.
that's just who he is, right? He sees the neighbors who occasionally let him out and he wants to go say hi, and it is what it is, right? But it's behavior that I'm okay accepting. And I think that's been another big piece I've learned is what am I okay with, right?
Mm.
As his
Yeah.
person, what behavior am I willing to accept? And
Mhm.
where's that behavior that I want to shape, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that is going to be different for every person and every dog. But learning that if he wants his dinner at 4 o'clock instead of 5 o'clock, it doesn't impact me. He can eat whenever, rather than
Yeah.
letting him bark and be frustrated for an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Mhm.
you want to eat at 4? Fine, right?
Yep.
So
Yeah.
learning what I'm okay with and also helping people who come into my house learn how to interact with him. I will say that is something I didn't do well in his early years. And now it's, hey, please walk all the way into the house. Don't stop at the door. He does jump. And that's behavior I've never really worked on or hasn't really bothered me. But I tell people not to kneel down because they will get headbutted. Do it at your own
Good,
risk,
good
right?
information.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's learning those things and how to help him and help others who also interact with him.
Yeah, as you were talking, I was thinking, it popped in my head. You have really done a great job of learning what boundaries Dose needs when
Mhm.
people come to your home. And we've had conversations about, well, do you think it's okay if I say this to you? I'm like, absolutely. You know, it's your house. Dose is your dog. You understand him the most. And also that you can have different rules and different boundaries for Dose depending on who is visiting.
And I
Mhm.
think that's a really good point is how much things change. So my parents, this is their grand doggy. And while
Mhm.
they're here, they will let him in and out as many times as he
Your
wants.
dad.
And
I love
it's
it.
adorable.
And he takes him on like 17-mile walks.
And I'm so grateful that, they love him. And, it's a week, and do we have to kind of reinforce my preferred behavior when they leave? Yes. But it doesn't hurt anything that he's
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
outside 17 times a day. And they help shape that behavior, right? He barks at them because he wants to go out and they let him out the back door. And that's fine.
Yeah.
Different rules for different people. And someday I will miss that, barking at the back
Mhm.
door. So for now, it's again understanding what you are and are not okay with when it
Yeah.
comes to your dog's behavior and who they're interacting with.
Yeah.
And I will say, when Heather was talking about how changes with your dog can affect people around you too, how you interact with people around you. When we're more patient with our dog, that's a muscle we're exercising. That patience, practicing patience really is almost like a muscle that you're exercising. And so typically that bleeds over to other areas. So then we can be more patient with our parents letting the dog in and out 17 times because we understand like it's not as big of a deal as maybe we thought it was 4 years ago or 6 years
Mm-hmm.
ago, and we can then extend that patience beyond our dog to other to human beings by all means. you know so, and I love that you are setting those boundaries too for people coming in. I
Mm.
so I used to, when I would have parties at my house, I would put a note up on the door from Lucy, and and it said like, here, have some treats, that you're welcome to bring in with you. If you see that I'm on my bed, I'm not in timeout, I'm just taking a break. Please don't feel bad for me and please don't interact with me. I just need some downtime.
Oh.
And now if I told people that, they were like, "Oh no, she's fine. Bring her off place. It's fine." But when I made it from the dog and saying, "This is what I need as a dog," people were really on board with it, which I loved. So I just found a way to communicate those things from the dog. And whatever works, I think, to put those boundaries in place so your dog has what they need. That should be expected and welcome from guests.
Mm-hmm.
And you're advocating for your dog there in that situation,
Absolutely.
right? You're helping them feel safe and that you as an owner are going to also kind of be there for them in
Mhm.
that moment.
We talk about how it's sort of catchy, advocate for your dog. And sometimes you just don't have the ability to do that, which absolutely okay. But like Christy was saying, you're saying those very small things are still advocating for your dog. And small changes, small requests can make a huge impact because in that situation where you're asking people to just walk right in the house versus headbutting, having Dose headbutt them, every single person that walks in the house and walks past him is reinforcing to him, oh, we don't headbutt people when they come in the house, which is probably good.
Fantastic. Yeah.
And and it's such a small request. It's such a small ask, but it is doing the right thing by your guests and by your dog. And so I love that it can be something so small, but make a really big difference. So, are there other areas in your life where the changes you've made with Dose have made a positive impact? And that would be like for you or people around you, I would say.
Yeah, so I think we touched on patience already, but I think the one thing about building a relationship with a dog and even doing something as simple as training like touch, where I want his nose to touch my hand, it will teach you patience. It will kind of teach you when to take breaks, when to continue, when to pause and circle back. And I think it's given me an ability to build a community. Obviously, we touched on it at the beginning, but I've known you guys for almost seven-ish years, over
Yeah,
7.
we're not sure,
Yeah.
but sounds good. Yeah.
But to be surrounded by amazing people who are similar minded and have perspective and will go down the rabbit hole with me and trying to troubleshoot behavior or to provide positive feedback when, you successfully teach that trick or you have a great story where, you were able to walk past or navigate a difficult situation. I think that's a big thing is kind of building a community of like-minded people. And also just the people around in the neighborhood, right, that I live in. Even today, I was walking Dose and I accidentally forgot his treats, and we were able to walk past, my neighbors with 2 Goldens who said, "You were doing such a good job. He's come such a long way." And
Mhm.
to
Oh.
hear that, right as I was walking in to talk with both of you was just reassuring that even though, over 9 years we've come such a long way, there's still work to do. But to see others recognize that and to be in a
Mhm.
place where it's making a positive impact with, my neighbors that I get to see and live next
Hmm.
to know that we're a positive impact on the community rather than, oh goodness, and that is important to me, that I'm positively influencing dogs and people, and to have, people want to come up and meet him in a safe space, or if I say, hey, we're training right now, that they respect that. It's really been a positive experience, I think, for both of us.
Hmm. And, touching on the community piece, it's also important to have a community that when things go wrong, they
Mhm.
can support you and they can just be there for you and say, you know what, Catherine, that sucks.
Mhm.
And you have a space where you can safely say that. And I think that that is an important piece.
Yeah.
I also think that you are changing the lives of others because you are sharing your journey.
Mhm.
And so the positive impact in the reverberations, those little ripples that sort of go out.
I
Mhm.
think that's an interesting perspective. I do tend to share on my Instagram when we stand and he wants to sniff a bush for 20 minutes. And just the conversations I've had as a result of some of the things that I've learned, people asking me questions about, getting a long line so their dog can go out and explore. And what did that journey look like for Dose and I, and where do I go, and how do I kind of let that happen? It's been fun to kind of share my knowledge and also be a space where people feel comfortable to come ask questions. And I'll be the first to say I don't always have the answer, but being able to talk and walk through that journey with people and figuring out how they can improve their relationship with dogs, it's fulfilling at the end of the day.
Yeah.
To kind of see, and then in turn, right, you get to see their relationship with their dog grow and develop.
It's amazing. And no one has all the answers.
No.
You are not alone.
Sometimes I wish I did, but it's a journey.
And wouldn't that be nice if we just had all the answers automatically?
Not possible though,
lotto
because
numbers too.
every dog is different, every person's different, every relationship is different. So we have to keep that in mind.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you tell us the biggest takeaway you've had from your journey so far?
I think it's really just to take every day and enjoy it with your dog. Dose is certainly getting older, and in the past couple of years, we've seen some health problems which happen in older dogs, kidney and liver disease, and it's truly just to enjoy every single moment and every single day that you get. It's cliche, but they're here for a part of your life, but you are there for their entire life.
Oh,
So for me, it's really just growing and developing and seeing him and enjoying every single thing that we get to do together, whether that's, a 5-second sniff at a bush, or an interaction with a neighbor where he's laying next to me while we have a conversation. It's that journey and the moments that we get to spend together. And his guest appearances and my work calls, every single thing is special in its own way. And I don't know, I think that's really the beauty in having a dog, is the journey and the little moments, as well as celebrating the big things like birthdays and adoptiversaries and all of the fun stuff you get.
Yeah,
I
hear
need
that,
to,
Heather? Birthdays.
I know. I like how she put that in there.
Snuck
Everybody,
it in.
Tater's birthday is this month. I said I didn't know how I was celebrating and I got in trouble.
Dog.
I need to come and see Dose.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I need to take that moment and give him all the blueberries.
Yes.
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 Come on over.
We're bringing a fruit salad over to your house.
Just so you can pick out the blueberries for Dose. Is this what we're
Well,
doing?
he likes strawberries too.
Well, that's true.
Right?
I mean, pretty much anything dogs can safely have, he will eat. I'm talking spinach, you name it, he will eat it. So
He's
you're
a
welcome.
connoisseur.
Yes.
That's amazing.
I will never make dinner alone.
No. You will never eat alone.
I just want to thank you for being willing to talk to us and share. When I pitched this idea to Christy, I was like, her and I have been a part of your journey with Dose, and we have gotten to see it change and evolve. And I mean, not to be like, but we're so proud of where you started and where you are now. And not to say that there was anything wrong with where you were, but you have made a decision to evolve. And that's been incredible for you and your dog. And I just think that that's amazing that you are willing to continue to learn. So I just thought it was something cool for our listeners to hear.
Thank you guys. And you guys have been integral to our journey. And to your point, right, there's nothing wrong with how we were before, but the bond that we share now is something that I will treasure forever.
Yeah.
And it's really through the support of friends who've been there for the hard times, the good times, the wins, the tears and the frustrations of the journey. But that's what makes it beautiful in the end.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much
Yes,
for having me.
yeah. If you've enjoyed this episode, subscribe, rate, and share us wherever you get your podcasts. Also, come on over to Instagram and engage with us at Sometimes There's Side Eye.
Thanks for listening, everybody. Talk to you next time.
Bye.
Bye.